Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Stav.
It's Griff.
And it's Will.
And today we're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs as the first round starts to come to an end. And we got some MLB talk the last week. Got a lot of good stories to talk about. I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's dive right into it.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm sorry. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is a fantastic Tuesday at the time this comes out because the Celtics have swept the Nets. No, I'm kidding. We're recording this Monday around 5 p.m. 2 hours, actually T-minus 2 hours until game time. We're up 3-0. The Celtics are in full control of the series. We got one more game at the Barclays Center. The big news of the night is that Ben Simmons is not playing. We're going to cover a little bit of Ben Simmons stuff. We'll get you started. What does this mean for Ben? Is he giving up on his team before he even steps on the court?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's, as the report said on, I believe it was Friday, Woj said, bearing a major setback, Ben Simmons would return for Monday's Game 4. And at that time, I was just thinking to myself, why can't he just play on Saturday? Like, how much is he going to be able to heal to where the point he's ready to play and to where he's not in that 1 day period of rest? So my initial reaction was he should have played Saturday. However, he was going to base that major setback would be the loss in game 3. So his whole mental process was, if we're down 2-1, I'm going to come back and I'm going to play the second home game. And they lost. And he's like, I don't want to be the first player in NBA history to lose back-to-back elimination games, because he would have been the first player in NBA history to play in consecutive elimination games to get eliminated. So, I mean, take it for what you want, but I just think Ben Simmons is a fraud, as everyone does. Like, in the media, that's all we see. Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, Shaq, all these guys are calling him out. And he's just quiet, and he's just going to sit on the sideline on the bench looking like a box of Fruity Pebbles. Like, he needs to get his act together.
No.
I don't know what's his problem.
Right. And I think it's to the point where it's like, once he plays again, I think that it might be to the point where he gets the Astros treatment, like a Jose Altuve Bregman treatment, and Correa, where he just absolutely gets trashed at every single opposing city he goes to. I think whenever he has the ball, you could say it's kind of like a Kyrie treatment as well, where he's getting booed at all times. Now, I don't think Ben Simmons is going to play this whole year. And a weird question comes from if the Nets get swept tonight. And I'm not saying that they are going to get swept. Obviously, we're Celtics fans. You know, I have the best point guard on our team, Peyton Pritchard's jersey behind me, for all the people watching on YouTube. If the Nets get swept, something has to happen to that organization, right? Now, is it going to be KD and Kyrie splitting up? What's going to happen to Ben? Is Steve Nash going to go? Will, what do you think is the first move that the Nets need to make if they end up exiting after this first round this year?
Well, the split up won't happen. I can tell you that. There's no chance that happens. They already said it before. Obviously, we can't take anyone's word for anything, because we all know where that happened. Well, we all know what happened after the last time everyone took Kyrie's word. But, like, I don't genuinely think that's going to happen. I don't think there's a place where, like, I mean, yes, KD could fit, I guess, on anyone's team, but I don't really know where Kyrie would go. I feel like a lot of teams are just already established. They're either committed to the rebuild or they have a team that they're ready to roll with, and they're just missing a couple pieces. And I don't feel like Kyrie would be a piece. Like, obviously, any team would like to have someone like a Kyrie, but, like, I just don't see the fit in many other places for that to make sense. I feel like it would go to Steve Nash right away, and I feel like that's kind of the tendency that happens with newer teams, where the head coach goes first before the players.
Yeah, I think it would just make sense for the Nets to move on from Steve Nash. I was thinking that, honestly, before this series even started. I think Steve Nash could fit with the team. I've been saying this maybe for years now, ever since he got hired. I think before the first game he coached, I said this. I think that Steve Nash would fit better with a team such as, I mean, I'll just throw one out there like the Cavs or the Thunder, a young team that both sides can grow together with and learn a lot from each other. Now, him trying to coach a team full of superstars, I mean, players that played against him too. Like we can't forget about this. It's a little bit more difficult to gain respect, even if you're someone like a Steve Nash who's won 2 MVPs. It's a weird situation that the Nets are in, right? And I think that the worst part is that KD and Kyrie aren't coming through. It's not like the rest of their team is playing awful, which honestly everybody but Bruce Brown kind of is. But KD and Kyrie, I mean, in game 3, they both had 16 points. Jason Tatum is locking up KD when he's guarding him. Marcus Smart is locking down Kyrie when he's guarding him, with the exception of game 1. Overall, like, are we surprised, Stav? Are you surprised by how well the Celtics are doing with the first round matchup? Or do we really think this is just the case of, oh, it's a 2 versus a 7? They're a 7 seed for a reason.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, if I'm being honest, no one really predicted a sweep. Everyone was kind of saying 5 games. And going back to our original predictions, I did think we basically said 5, 6 games max, and we're kind of right. I mean, if hypothetically the Celtics lose on Monday, the day of this recording, I can't see them losing at home. I just think everything defensively is clicking. You know, everything that we've praised the Celtics for in the second half of the year is being very, how do I want to say this? Like, it's under a microscope. Everything that they've done in the second half is being brought to light right now. You know, the thing I don't like is that a lot of the national media is saying that this is all the bad of the Nets. Like, they're playing awful, not really giving the Celtics much credit for what they're doing. So I wish there was a little bit more attention on the Celtics, because I do think that this is the team that they are. I think they're absolutely forcing the Nets to be panicked. I think they're throwing them off their game, especially KD. Every time KD is running through a screen, he's getting popped by someone. You know, it's like they're playing very physical with these guys, and I don't think they're used to it. So I want to give credit to the Celtics, and kind of like reiterating what you guys were saying, Steve Nash should go. Like, it's not a right fit. However, he's not going to, because I think there was a report today saying KD loves him, in the front office loves him. So he's probably going to stay. Kyrie has this opt-in, opt-out situation. If I'm the Nets, I was just thinking about this before. Ben Simmons is he's got to go. Like, this experiment, although he hasn't played, he's got to go. Like, I don't care. Like, look at Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's playing on a torn ligament in his thumb, his shooting thumb. Like, he needs surgery. He actually needs surgery, but he's going to play through it. There are going to be guys who are going to be on one leg who are going to play in this playoffs. Like, we'll get to the Suns in a little bit, but Devin Booker has a bad hamstring. Hamstrings don't heal quick. Hamstrings go forever. And he's going to end up coming back, I think. And it's just Ben Simmons, man. What are you doing? Like, I think the Nets should trade Kyrie and Ben Simmons for Darren Fox and Domantas Sabonis. And I think that, like, that would be a perfect fit for both of those teams. I think the Kings need something to be excited about. I think the Nets need pieces to build around KD, not another ISO scorer. Let De'Aaron Fox facilitate. You got Sabonis, who can spread out the floor. KD, obviously. Seth Curry's still going to be there. You got Drummond. You got Nick Claxton. You still got Dragic and all these guys. That team is so much better with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis than Kyrie and Ben Simmons.
And De'Aaron Fox is someone who we really haven't heard from the past couple of years because of how quiet a market is in Sacramento. But speaking of Sacramento, every time I think of the Kings, I think of my good friend Will and how he really thought that Sacramento was a good place for our guy Kyle Kuzma to become a superstar. Will, how do you like the sound of Kyrie and Ben Simmons going to Sacramento and maybe winning some games? Are you a fan of the Kings?
No, I'm not a fan of the Kings at all.
Okay, I needed to clear that up. It's been in my mind for months.
Oh, no,
We've been talking about this back and forth.
Oh, yeah. No, I have a friend that is from Sacramento. He's a Kings fan. So, I have to give him a quick shout out every now and then. But,
Super rare, by the way.
Yeah, super rare. I'm not a Kings fan. I just thought that would be a good place for him, but I don't, for I don't know if that would even work out. I mean, like it would work out more for the Nets than it would the Kings. I feel like you just can't win in Sacramento. That's just like not a thing.
Right, but I mean, if they can get a trade going, I think Sacramento would be in for that to sell some tickets up in California, and the Nets would be pretty set with Darren Fox, who can facilitate for KD, Domantas Sabonis, who is potentially, I mean, an all-star year in and year out, double machine. He could probably run the five for that team in a small ball lineup. I actually like the idea that Stav brought up of having those two for the Nets. But you're right, Will. The only reason it would make sense for the Kings is just to get some butts and seats in that arena. But looking out into the rest of the NBA, we actually have an interesting series between a 1 and an 8 seed in the Western Conference, and that's between the Pelicans and the Suns. Stav brought it up for a second. No Devin Booker with a hamstring injury. The series is tied 2-2. I'll go to you, Will. Should the Suns fans be scared? Are they going to close this out the next two games, or do you think the Pelicans have a chance?
And in my opinion, it's either going to go to 7 games or they're going to finish out in 6. It's either the Suns in 6. If the Pelicans, I think the Pelicans win in 7.
That's fair. At first, I was like, yeah, it's either going to go 6 or 7. That's all that happens. But you have either if it goes 6, it's the Suns.
Yeah,
If it goes 7, it's the Pelicans. That's super fair. What about you, Stav?
I think it's going to go 6 either way. I don't think it's going to get to a game 7. I think the winner of this next game really does decide the winner. If the Pelicans can steal another game in Phoenix without Devin Booker, they're going to force – I feel like the Suns have to force Devin Booker back. He's not going to be 100%. He's going to be missing his shots. Chris Paul clearly can't carry a team. Like, he got absolutely clamped by the guards of New Orleans and Herb Jones and all these guys. So if New Orleans wins this next game, they will win in 6. And the same thing goes with Phoenix. If Phoenix wins, they'll win in 6.
I think honestly, like if the Suns win this series, they're honestly in I guess for future sight, they're kind of screwed with this injury. I think it just sets them back a little too far, especially because it's a hamstring injury. Like you're going to force them to play because of the situation they're in the series. They couldn't close out early enough. It's gonna, I don't know. Without Devin Booker, they're a completely different team.
Yeah, and hypothetically, even if they do advance, they run into either Dallas or Utah, and that series has turned into a actually pretty good series, which I didn't think. I thought Dallas would end up sweeping or winning in 5 or whatever, but that's not an easy matchup. You need Devin Booker for that. Like, if they don't have Devin Booker, then I think either Utah or Dallas advances in the next round.
Yeah,
right. I think it's just the fact that if the Pelicans, honestly, I would say this already is a Pelicans win, just for the fact that this isn't a 4-game series like we honestly all thought it would be, or a 5-game series. Just tiring them all the other guys down on the Suns is big, right? Because you're gonna go into this next series, you're gonna be playing Luka, or you're gonna be playing Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. It's not gonna be easy no matter what. I don't think either of those teams that they'll be playing are like championship contenders. Unless Luka just absolutely takes over, but I don't think the Jazz have what it takes. But they're a team that could give the Suns a run for their money. I think they're lucky that they're not playing either the Nuggets or the Warriors, because I think first off, I think that the Warriors are in prime position to make a finals run this year. I think they really snuck up out of nowhere. But the Suns, I mean, they should be nervous, right? With D-Book out with this hamstring injury, like we're all saying, he's going to be forced to come back early. And just the fact that these are long series, right? And you need, if you're a team with an injury, you need to handle your business when like it needs to be done. And in this series, it had to happen, right? It had to happen. Sorry, the English is so difficult for me. With the Pelicans, though, this should have been a 4 or 5 game series, right? This is what I'm trying to say. The fact that it's going to go 6, potentially 7, this is a big deal for the Suns. They're going to be tired, and they're not going to have an easy matchup like this for the rest of their championship run. And I really think this sets them back a little bit. Stav, going back to the Pelicans, however, what would this team look like with Zion? Do you think that Zion, I mean, could potentially come back next year? They could have a lineup with Graham, CJ McCollum, BI, Zion, Jackson Hayes. And do you think they could be a top 5 Western Conference playoff team with Zion fully healthy. I mean, playing the way that he was before he was out.
I think that's exactly where I'll put him. I'll put him at the 5th seed. I think, I mean, give or take, you got your top 3 teams in the West with Phoenix, Golden State, and Memphis. They're there to stay, especially with and then you got guys in Denver who are going to be coming back healthy. And then you got like teams like Dallas. I mean, Utah might have to blow it up. So I think New Orleans fully healthy with everyone. They're deep with the emergence of Jose Alvarado. He brings this element to the game that they desperately needed. His constant pressure and energy feels like what everyone thinks Patrick Beverley does. Like, I can't tell you the last time I've seen in an NBA game an 8-second violation called. Never mind on Chris Paul. Chris Paul is an top 3 point guard of all time, arguably, and Jose Alvarado made him look stupid last night twice. So it's just that team is so deep. If Zion could come back, you got guys like Jackson Hayes coming off the bench. You got Herb Jones. It's just like they're so much better with Zion. And I wish somehow he could come back. I mean, he's doing through the leg dunks and all this stuff. Reggie Miller said it best. You can give me 15 minutes a game if you're doing that. So I wish we get to see Zion like make a WWE style appearance in Game 6 if they're about to eliminate the Suns. I think that'd be awesome, but obviously it's not likely. But look at Valanciunas as well. Jonas Valanciunas is giving them such strong minutes, and Ayton's kind of getting his offensively, but defensively they have no excuse or no answer for Valanciunas. So this isn't going to be easy. The next 2 games for Phoenix by no means are going to be easy with or without Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean this Pelicans team, if they can beat the Suns, they're not a team to play around with anymore. Like now they're in to make a run in the playoffs. Like they have the same strengths and abilities as the 5 and the 6 seeds. Like what you said earlier, Stav, I think next year the Pelicans are a true playoff seed, not playing.
Right. And I agree 100% with that. I think I'm not a big Zion guy. Obviously, me and Will, UNC fans. But Zion's a guy that can give you 20 points a game and all from the paint, shoot a couple of 3 balls here and there with that atrocious form. Hopefully he's fixing that throughout rehab as well. But I think that when Zion comes back, a lot of stress is going to be taken off his shoulders because in a sense that this won't be his team. I think Brandon Ingram is a guy who is taking the next steps in this playoff run. I mean, if they could potentially get into the second round, if not, I mean, they're an 8 seed. This is exactly where we thought they would be. But Brandon Ingram has been playing awesome, and he's been guarded by Mikal Bridges, who's a guy that people looked at in the depoy running, who's probably going to make an all defensive team. And Brandon Ingram is just doing whatever he wants against him. I think the fact that he's really rising throughout these playoffs is a sign of what we've seen from the past many years when he was on the Lakers and now on the Pelicans, that this is a guy that can really get it done a year in and year out, potentially an all-star player. I think that Brandon Ingram can be a guy that is going to make a couple of runs in his career with this team, and I think it's going to be a great duo between him and Zion Williamson. I love the emergence of Jackson Hayes. I think potentially next year. I know we were just talking about Valanciunas. Jackson Hayes, a guy who can jump out of the gym, just absolutely do everything with his athleticism. I think he can learn a lot of lessons from Valanciunas, and I think he already has. He's been playing fantastic throughout this first round of the playoffs. The Pelicans are a team to look for, and their future is very bright. I think that they're going to be an incredible team come the next few years. Looking on to that second round matchup that either of these teams could potentially face, we got the Mavs, we got the Jazz. That series is tied 2-2. We saw the most unanticipated thing ever happen, and that was a pass between Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Stav, we've been talking about this forever. How surprised were you that happened to win that game, or is that just what's happening because of playoffs and you think that they're still not patching up this friendship?
Oh no, they hate each other. You can tell. You just can tell. And usually I don't get out of my seat when like another team does something. Like I obviously I watch the games. I get excited like things that are cool but I usually rarely get out of I never get out of my seat. But that pass for Donovan Mitchell, the assist, not even the pass, the alley-oop, like from Mitchell to Gobert, I was like, I got out of my seat. I'm like, this is the most unanticipated thing ever. It just they're not good. That it really took everything for the Jazz to win that game. I think it's not talked about at all. The fact that, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who missed 2 free throws, the possession after Mitchell had the and one. Someone missed 2 free throws. One of the big men, number 7. I can't remember his name.
Dwight Powell.
Yeah. Yep. He missed 2 free throws that would have put the game basically out of reach. I mean, no, it would have put him up by 3, and that Mitchell to Gobert lob wouldn't have happened. The Jazz would have had to hit a 3. So it's just this whole string of things that worked out perfectly. I mean, Mitchell, all right. Luka hits a step back 3, right? The Jazz go down the court. Mike Conley drives, kicks it to Mitchell. Mitchell goes up, misses the first layup, gets the offensive rebound, and then gets an and one. So he makes his free throw, makes it a 1-point game, and then they foul Powell. Powell misses both free throws, and then the alley-oop happens. So the Mavs choked this game more so than the Jazz won the game, in my opinion. So I think the Mavs are going to end up cleaning up the series, especially with Luka returning. Mavs in 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Stav. Mavs in 6 on that one.
I'm gonna agree on the team. I'm gonna go 7 games. I think the Jazz find a way to squeak one out. I think it's gonna be another one where the Mavs lose themselves the game. And I just want to say that I think that the Mavericks did literally the worst job they could possibly do building this team. It's just the fact that Jalen Brunson and like these different guys have really come alive in the playoffs. This isn't a team that like I can see 2 or 3 starters staying there for a championship run. Honestly, I can only see Luka being a starter on a championship team when it comes to that Mavs lineup, but they're getting it done against the Jazz, who have gone through a lot of issues this year as well. It's going to be an interesting end to this series. I think that the Mavs are going to clean up. It's honestly just the fact that Luka Doncic is on the other side of the basketball. And, a lot of questions have come from that side of like, he wins first round playoff series. He doesn't do much else after that. I think it's the classic case of that once again this year. Moving on to the next series, we got the Grizzlies, the T-Wolves, another 2 versus a 7. This one, though, however, has been amazing to watch. This series, maybe the best series of the first round. 2 young teams. Cat, his inconsistencies may hold them back, but right now they're tied up at 2-2. Will, first off, do you think it'll go 7? If yes, who's gonna win? If no, who's gonna win? How many games?
This series is kind of crazy. It's, I think, the best one so far. Hart wants the Timberwolves, but like, why believe in them is the question. So I think I have to go with the Grizzlies, and I think in 6.
6.
I'm in agreement, but I'm going to say Grizzlies in 7 just because we don't know which version of both teams are going to show up.
Right. I guess I'll also pick the Grizzlies. I really don't think the Timberwolves have what it takes just against a 2 seed, I'm going to take them. I'm going to go 6 as well. I think they take the next 2, and you know whose fault it's going to be? It's going to be all Karl Anthony Towns' fault. Anthony Edwards as well, dealing with an injury. I think he's good to go, though, right?
He's fine. He limped off the court off a non-contact injury and then came back like 10 minutes later.
So it might have been just like, oh, who else did that? Somebody else did that, I think, in the Warriors-Nuggets game, and it was like, those are the really nerve-wracking ones because the non-contact injuries, it's either like literally nothing happened and you just got nervous, or your whole knee or leg is gone. So, hopefully he's fine. Anthony Edwards has been electric throughout this series as well. We've seen a lot of these young guys step up this year, and it's pretty cool to see the next coming of potential superstars. It's been pretty fun. And Jason Tatum, another name on that list, I think at a higher caliber as Anthony Edwards. But it's been exciting. Moving on, we got a little 1 seed, 8 seed matchup. The Heat getting it done against the Hawks. I just really think that the Hawks, every year I think this. Now, they made a run last year. The Hawks remind me of the Mavs of the East. They have one guy, and honestly, other than that, in my opinion, I think the whole system should be blown up. The Heat up 3-1 Stav. Trae Young, I mean, not doing fantastic. Do you think the Hawks have to do some serious changes over this offseason, or do you think they got to ride with their guys?
Trae Young. Let me just kind of say something about the Hawks. They're a glorified AAU team. They don't play basketball a good way. Like last year in the playoffs, I think they just got lucky with their matchups. In the first round they faced the Knicks, and look at the Knicks now. And then the next round they faced the Sixers with the Ben Simmons thing, where Ben Simmons just forgot how to play basketball. So, and then they faced the Bucks and got exposed. And that's kind of the trend of the Hawks this year. They kind of got figured out. Trae Young got figured out. And if Trae Young isn't hitting his half-court shots, he looks like the worst basketball player on the court. Like, I don't know if you guys watched the game at all last night, but there was like 5 instances in a row where Trae Young kept pulling up from deep, and he would miss badly, and the Heat would just go down, layups. Like, they physically dominated the Hawks. They mentally dominated them, and they're going to win in 5. Like, the Hawks got very lucky that the Heat choked in game 3.
Yeah, no, the Hawks have no chance. Their play style is just you can't play. Last year they didn't play a team that played defense like this until they lost, and they barely lost. Didn't that series go to 7 games? Am I wrong on that one?
The Hawks and the Bucks?
Yeah,
No, it went 5.
Went 5. Okay.
5.
I mean, they haven't played a team that plays defense like the Heat, and like in their runs, and obviously, like I said before, I just don't think their play style makes like helps them. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with English as well.
It happens, trust me.
Yeah, I don't know, just drew blank. But no, I don't think Trae Young can be the solo guy on that team just to carry them anymore. I think they need to build pieces around them. They need to have their pieces that they have develop more. And I feel like he's kind of setting them back by him taking charge. Like there's nothing wrong with a player on your team who's a star who said, okay, this is my team. I need to show up. But there's a difference between showing up and then showing up with your team.
I think
Right.
he's sorry to interrupt, but I think he's hurting them more than he's helping them. This series alone, he has 24 turnovers and he only has 20 baskets made. Like, that's over a 4-game stretch. You can't do that if you're a star player. And this is kind of going off of a hunch, but I think that the Hawks regret the Luka Trae trade. I think
I mean,
that
I would.
yeah, like it's always said like, oh, this is the most even trading it. Hell no. Like the Mavericks clearly win. Luka Doncic is miles better than Trae Young. I think Trae Young is one of the most overrated players in the NBA. And the only way he could really prove me wrong is if he stops pulling up from 50 feet and starts passing the ball. Like there's this clip that's circulating of one possession in the third quarter of that game, the game 4, where Trae Young gets smothered on the inbound by PJ Tucker. They set a screen for him, gets picked up by Bam Adebayo, set another screen, and picks up by Jimmy Butler, 3 of the better on-ball defenders in the league. Not once has he even looked to pass. Like, by the only time he passed is after he dribbled for 20 seconds of the shot clock and passed out of a jump shot because he was getting smothered and made Bogdanović shoot a contested 3. So how you beat good on-ball pressure is by passing the ball. If you consistently pass the ball and you swing it, someone will be open. Like Trae Young is too worried about his individual stats than the overall success of the team.
Right. And I think it's the fact that these young guys look at them being the number one option as, oh, I have to go out there and take 30, 40 shots in a night, right, when it comes to the playoffs. But something that I think that set Jason Tatum apart this year that Trae Young isn't doing at all is the fact that he needs to step up in all categories, not just the shots that he's taking, the amount of shots that he's taking, but the quality of the shots, the facilitation through him, because obviously you need to facilitate through your best player, but there's also 4 other people on the court. And I think that the fact that the 4 other people on the court consist usually, right? I was watching the game last night of Bogdan Bogdanovic, who I honestly think is their second best player, if not Danilo Gallinari off the bench, who's been getting it done just because he knows how to play basketball. And I honestly don't think the rest of these guys do. On this Hawks roster, I think John Collins is all right. He's good at dunking, but honestly, that's about it. He hasn't really done anything that's excited me since he absolutely dunked on Joel Embiid last year. Since then, I think he's honestly been awful. Another person I don't like at all, who I used to like from Maryland, is Kevin Huerter. I think he's just absolutely awful. I watched him take about, it's not even just Trae Young at this point. I watched him take about 4 or 5 contested double team 3-pointers because the shot clock is at 1.5 because Trae Young has the ball for 23 seconds in a possession. It's just the way that they play basketball, Stav, and you absolutely pinned the nail on that. It was just the fact that they play this team kind of like how Memphis plays. The University of Memphis, they just run up and down the court. They shoot threes. Their best player has the ball in their hands at all times. It's ugly. It's an ugly way of playing basketball. It's not how you play basketball and win in the National Basketball Association. And that's why the Miami Heat, who are one of the better teams in basketball, are up 3-1, and they're going to win this series in 5. I actually really don't think there's any way that the Hawks win game 5 and force it to 6. I think the Hawks are done. I think some serious changes need to be made. And I think Trae Young is a guy that can very much so succeed. I just don't think he has the tools around him, one. And number 2, I don't think he has his head straight. I don't think that he understands what it actually takes to win playoff series, because you're right, Stav. Actually looking at what he went through last season with those 2 playoff series that they won, they played the Knicks, and an absolute fraudulent team, and they proved it this year. Julius Randle being their best basketball player honestly should have told us in the first place that this team isn't actually good at basketball. And then number 2, the 76ers, who were honestly playing basketball against themselves at that point. We knew they had no chance of winning. So I'm glad you brought all those points up. The Hawks are just in the absolute mud. Some serious changes need to be made. I think Trae Young can still get it done. I just think he needs to figure out some things. He's still young. I want to say he's about 23. He's got some years ahead of him. But moving on to the second round matchup that the Celtics would potentially be playing if the Celtics win one of these next 4 games. We got the Bucks and the Bulls. This is another series where, I mean, the Bucks being the 2 seed, or the 3 seed, excuse me, they're just amazing. They're an amazing team. It's the reason why they won the NBA championship last year. Chris Middleton being out is big. In my opinion, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm actually just looking at Celtics versus Bucks at this point, guys. If you think otherwise, let me know. But it's gonna be C's Bucks, and we've had some great playoff series with them in the past few years. Chris Middleton has honestly killed us. Chris Middleton is a guy that, like, he's never good until he plays against the Celtics. I feel like this is big that he could potentially be out through round 2. But I really think that the Bucks beating up on the Bulls is just showing exactly how bad the Bulls are. Remember when they were the 1 seed like halfway through the year, and then we all noticed that they hadn't actually played anybody good, and then once they started playing good teams, they were the 6 seed. So, Stav, I want to hear your thoughts on the Bulls, and then I want to hear what you're thinking for this potential round 2 matchup.
Initial thoughts on the Bulls is that on the Bulls. I said the Bull. On the Bulls is they need Lonzo. Lonzo Ball is really impactful, and I think he's going to get a lot of respect this offseason, especially by that organization, because right when he got hurt, they started a slope in a downward trend, or in a downward slope, however you want to say it. But they have no answer for Giannis. They have no answer. Like, every time down the court, it just seems as if he lowers his shoulder into the chest of the defender and gets a dunk. He hits a mid-range shot, and he's starting to shoot his threes and be confident. Like, And then you got the other guys like Grayson Allen stepping up and having 15 points off the bench. Drew Holiday's going to get his. Like, the Bucks are very good. It's just the Bulls are also pretty bad. I think the Bulls without Lonzo are pretty bad. Like, they don't have defense. Vucevic isn't a paint defender. Like, he gets his rebounds, he can score, but he can't defend. I mean, DeMar DeRozan never has really been known as a defender. Zach LaVine can't play defense. Like, Patrick Williams is a rookie, he can't guard Giannis. Like, they have no paint presence, and you need paint presence to beat the Bucks. And that's why I do think the Celtics match up perfectly with the Bucks.
I agree. I was going to say the same thing. I was like, because I know I said before how Middleton is very impactful for that team, how he scores a lot of points, and how him being out could result in a tough series for them. I think they're going to wrap it up next game easy. Our matchup against the Bucks, potentially, we match up perfectly against them. Obviously, like you said, Griff Middleton usually kills us. He's not going to be there for that, so that helps us a good amount. But I mean, the Bucks are usually good without Middleton until they see a team that has a good paint presence, because then it forces a lot on their outside guys, which takes Giannis out of the paint, forces him to take shots, and then that's how they crumble.
Right. And that's very true. I think just Giannis in general, it's not even their paint presence against the Bucks. It's the opposing team's paint presence against Giannis. Bobby Portis has been a guy that's been getting it done for them. And then they have Brook Lopez. That's who came back, right? At center, who's starting for them now, who's been very good as well. Those are two guys that honestly don't do much in the paint, right? They're actually, both of them have been known for their 3-point shooting ability since becoming a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know the exact timeline for Chris Middleton. 4 days ago, it said to miss at least 2 weeks, so like he could potentially be back later in the series. Not 100% sure like exactly where that lines up. But Stav, with Chris Middleton out, Drew Holiday obviously there, Marcus Smart will be assigned to him most likely. Who do you think is the best matchup on the Boston Celtics when it comes to guarding Giannis?
I think they're just going to do what they're doing kind of with KD right now, where we're going to kind of stick a guard or Jason Tatum, like full court basically on him, face guarding him with help from Robert Williams kind of as that free safety. However, the thing that does kind of hurt the Celtics is Robert Williams can't play that free safety role because 1 through 5 on that team can shoot, regardless if Middleton's in or out, because Bobby Portis, he's a stretch 4, like he can hit his threes. Brook Lopez is a good shooter. You don't want to get him knocking down the shots. Then you got Drew Holiday, obviously. Like, these guys can all shoot. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. I do think that they're going to have Al Horford shadowing him basically at all times. And, like, one guy's going to be open, and it's really going to come down to, okay, I'm going to let Bobby Portis beat us.
And Will, do I sound dumb? This is my honest opinion. Do I sound dumb for thinking that we can win this series in 5 with Al Horford guarding Giannis? I think Al Horford can actually do not everything. He's not going to stop him, but I think he can slow him down enough for us to actually cruise by the Bucks. Do I sound stupid, or is that something that could actually happen? You think Al Horford is too old to do it? I mean, because if you remember in 2018, we had first off Semi Ojeleye, who's an absolute beast. Maybe we should bring him back.
His title.
But yeah, but when Ojeleye wasn't in, we had Al Horford on him, and he did a pretty good job. Do you think that Al Horford could really step up and be a guy that, I mean, could bring us into this next round?
Well, not only Al Horford, because like he can definitely get part of the job done, but the way we play defense as a collective, we kind of go on the court and kind of like Marcus Smart is our guy in the middle almost. Like in a way where he kind of is the anchor and we kind of play around him. He kind of moves around, picks off some steals, and then we fall in where he falls out. We kind of like run this weird like man zone kind of like, I don't really know how to describe it.
Switching on all screens and all of that.
We're switching on everything, which is why we're getting so many turnovers, which is why we're running the fast break excellently. And that's why we're so good in transition, like both sides of the ball. We always have someone on offense ready to score when we get a steal, and we're always on our way backpedaling, and we always have someone in the middle ready to make a stop, especially if we're left shorthanded. So and Giannis is usually on those other sides of those fast breaks for the Bucks. So I feel like we're easily well equipped, if not the most well equipped team to beat this Bucks team.
Yeah,
Right. I agree with. Go for it, stuff.
I do kind of like that Celtics in 5 take. It just really depends on if they can keep up the defensive pressure. And I do think that the winner of this series goes to the finals. I don't think necessarily that the Sixers kind of shorthanded, if you get what I'm saying, with Joel Embiid's thumb injury, and the Heat are missing Kyle Lowry, and that team is so much better with Kyle Lowry. And even when he comes back, it's a hamstring. Hamstring injuries linger. Like, you don't heal from a hamstring injury like within 2 months, in my personal opinion. I know these guys have the best doctors to assist them with everything that they're going through, but it's going to be tough. I think that the Bucks and the Celtics are the two best teams in the East, and I think good karma is coming the Celtics' way because they didn't dodge the Nets.
That's very true. I like the takes from the both of you. I think it really is going to come down to the whole team when it comes to stopping Giannis. And we talked about us stopping the Bucks. I don't think that the Bucks have everything that they need to stop us. You're very right. I think we're the better team, no matter what. Stav, I agree with you 100%. Whoever wins that second round series will be in the playing for an NBA championship. I'm not guaranteeing a win out of the East because the Western Conference is very good. But before we move away, we brought up the Celtics again. I just want to say DraftKings has us at number 2 on odds to win it all. Number 1 actually being the Golden State Warriors. Speaking of the Golden State Warriors, currently up 3-1 in this series against the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, a team that's been struggling with injuries since the beginning of the season with no Jamal Murray, who is their starting point guard usually. Honestly, the Nuggets winning this last game, it was kind of just like this is all we have. Like I that's the way that I saw it. I watched the game from start to finish. I've fallen in love with this Warriors team with Jordan Poole. There was a video though of Klay Thompson not getting the ball, and when Klay Thompson wants the ball, I know this from personal experience of watching Warriors games. When Klay Thompson wants the ball, he's gonna make a shot. You might as well just give him the ball. But Jordan Poole didn't give it to him. Maybe that might be a little difficulty, but you got to let him shine while he's in right now. This death lineup from the Warriors is seriously dangerous. Like I said, they're the favorite to win it all. Looking still at this first round, it's a 3-1 series. The Warriors, no PTSD hopefully given to Warriors fans when 3-1 is up. Do we think they close this out? In how many games? And how do you think the Warriors are shaping up for the rest of this run?
Easily next game they close it up. When you see a team like the Nuggets play the way they did, was it last night or the night before? It was last night, right?
It was last night, right?
Yeah. When you see them play like that, give it all they have to win one game, especially on the brink of going home, they're not going to win another game. You don't see a team like that play like that for multiple games. Like we see in the past 3-1 series where like the team needed a win, but it's not like they weren't in it before. Like at least 1 to 2 of those games that they've lost out of the 3 were close games. It's not like they didn't have a chance. And the Warriors were pretty much just like blowing completely over them, and they really don't have a shot. So they're gonna clean this up in Game 5. The Warriors are elite, and there's nothing to be surprised by that. They always kind of have, and I feel like their seeding makes it scarier for everyone because they're a team that's going to peak at the right time, which they are right now, and they've kind of been low key all season.
Yeah, and them getting that 3 seed. Well, I really like that you brought up that point. They're going to face the winner of the Grizzlies Timberwolves series, who they're both beating each other up. Like that's a very physical series, and both of those play styles that the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves play, like, is completely opposite from what the Warriors play. The Warriors are so fast, run and gun threes, just assist, passes, everything. When there's a lot of, both offenses are kind of quick and athletic, but they don't bring the shooting that the Warriors bring. Desmond Bane had a really good game, but he's not Klay Thompson. He's not Steph Curry. He's not Jordan Poole. He's not Andrew Wiggins. He's not Draymond Green. Like, those guys, they're just so deep that Warriors, it's just the stars are aligning for that to come to fruition.
I think if you look at their matchup defensively, who's really going to stop them? I don't really think any of those two teams can really slow them down as a whole team defensively, especially the way they pass the ball, how they're always open, they're ready to make that extra play. Like, they're playing as a team, and that's the most dangerous playoff team. That's the most dangerous team to see when a team plays like a team.
Right. And it's not only that, but looking at that next round matchup, they beat them, both teams. If you look at them against the T-Wolves, if you look at them against the Grizzlies, in my opinion, in every single category, the Warriors are better than both of those teams. And I think one of the most important categories is experience. And what better team to talk about experience than a team that has Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, right? Now you add someone like a Jordan Poole, who's, I mean, that this time last year was in the G League. This time 2 years ago was in a dorm room like the rest of us. This guy is now dropping 30 points in an NBA playoff series. If you have someone to add to a core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, you're automatically going to be a championship contender. They're better than both of these teams that they are going to potentially play in the next round. And if Devin Booker doesn't come back 100% by the conference finals, first off, who even knows if they'll make it to the conference finals without him? And if they do, I think the Warriors are the perfect team to match up against the Phoenix Suns, to outrun the Phoenix Suns and really give them a run for their money. The Warriors are a dangerous team. We should have known it. This is the first time that they've actually been healthy in years. And to be honest, they're not even 100% healthy because they don't have James Wiseman. Now, I think James Wiseman could have give him a lot of quality minutes, but without him, they're still succeeding. They're still playing great. The last series of the first round that we'll cover in this episode, we got the 76ers in the Raptors. The Sixers up 3-1. I don't think we have much to say about this. We've talked a little bit about Embiid's thumb injury, so I guess we'll get into that stuff. How long do you think this is going to linger? Do you think he's going to be good to go throughout the whole playoff run, or do you think he's going to be battling this the whole time and it's really going to screw over the Sixers?
Oh, he's going to be battling it the whole time. I think it was announced that he needs surgery in the offseason, and he said he wants to play through it. I think he's going to end up hurting him more than he thinks. I mean, he can't shoot, and half of his game is shooting from the free throw line. I mean, he'll still hit some free throws, but he probably won't shoot as much as like efficiently as he usually does, because he's a pretty good free throw shooter. And it's really going to be like how far Harden takes him. And Harden really hasn't, other than like assists and facilitating, can't hit his shots. Like, I hate saying this because I think the Raptors aren't that good. But if the Raptors can steal Game 5, we have a series. Like, it's 3-2. No team has ever blown a 3-0 lead, and I don't think it's necessarily going to happen. But if I'm the Sixers, it's in the back of my head. Like, we're up 3-1, going back home, close it out now. Don't let the Raptors hang around, because then you go back to Toronto, Game 6, and then Game 7, hypothetically, anything can happen. So, I don't know. It just, that I'm going to kind of close out with that, but it's just close them out if you're the Sixers.
That's really it. You kind of have to. I mean, his injury is going to linger the rest of the playoffs, especially if they win. Might as well take your win and see how far it can take you to the rest of the playoffs, because I think that, like Stav said, I think it's going to hurt them more than they realize it.
Right, and it makes sense. I mean, it's Joel Embiid. He's their best player, MVP runner-up, right? Because I think Jokic officially locked it down. Like, not officially, but I think it got leaked that he locked it down, right? MVP runner-up, Stav, I bet you're very happy with the fact that he is not going to be the MVP, because you're a guy that has been totally against that with our free throws. But that's going to wrap up our NBA section, and that means we're going to be moving on to the MLB, specifically the Red Sox. We're all excited. Stav, I'll let you take us over from here.
Okay, the Red Sox have an upcoming series in Toronto. We don't have Tanner Houck and Carter Crawford. Sitting at 7-9. Just lost a series to the Rays. We've lost 4 out of the 5 series that we've played this year. When we started off, I thought that win with Trevor Story making that awesome play Friday night, that was a great win. That was a very quality win. I'm very happy with how they played. Then they get no hit through 9 the next day, go up 2-0 in extras, and then blow it. So it's like, and then they get smacked yesterday, which they were up 2-0, but then they ended up getting smacked. I don't know, like, what to think about this team right now. I'm concerned. And I know I can say this excuse probably for the rest until like late June, but there's plenty of baseball left. They have time to figure it out. I think the bats are going to eventually start to get rolling, but it sucks to lose games in the fashion that they've been losing.
Yeah, I mean, I watched all these games beginning to end. Friday's game was excellent. Saturday was a big disappointment. Getting no hit, obviously, until the 10th inning. And then Bobby Dalway comes in, hits a triple, which is like the first hit all series. He was getting screwed over by the all series long. We even saw it last night. They were calling everything out of the zone. They're very questionable umpiring all around this weekend. But we really only have 3 guys on offense right now. Like Xander, Rafi, and I'm pretty sure Verdugo are our best hitters right now. And I mean, JBJ is getting on base because he's drawing walks. And I think I texted this to Griff. I was like, he's probably one of the most influential players we have right now on this team, defensively and offensively, because he's just giving us good at bats. He's what we want him to do. So I feel like I'm feeling more confident from him staying in right field and having him out there just because we're getting quality at bats, especially in a time that we need offense. And I think he stole his first base in the season this series too, which was huge. Thanks to Kike. He kind of faked him out at third base and then he got over to second. But like, we really need everyone to step it up. I know Trevor Story, he's new team. There's an adjustment period. We just have to get used to that. But like, defensively, he's playing great. I know he had a couple errors, but I mean, those are going to change up. It's not like he didn't make the play. He just couldn't finish it. Like, he just couple off balance throws. Like, you got to get used to where you're playing. He's a shortstop, not a second baseman. But we really need to develop our bats more. Bobby is one of the biggest problems we have on this team. And I feel like just because he comes in, gets a hit every now and then, and it happens to be one of the most important hits that we have all game, can't be the reason why we have him on this team still.
Right. And I'm a guy, and I know Will's a guy, and I'm praying to God that Stav is a guy that last year, me and Will, I know for sure we're committed to Bobby Dalbec. In a sense, fell in love with him, right? This year, it's like, okay, honestly, he underperformed last year. He had a nice little run all that second half of the season. But he underperformed as a whole last season. And this season, we have options, right? Like, we have different people in our farm system. And for you Red Sox nerds, like I guess you could say we are, if you look into Worcester, we have Casas, who's obviously very young. And we have Franchi Cordero, and that's a guy I've been looking at since the beginning of the season as someone that's like, why aren't we just playing Franchi at first? I think Franchi's a guy that gets on base a good amount. I think he's going to get on base a lot more often than Bobby Dalbec is. And Bobby D has turned into a guy for this Red Sox team that, you put it perfectly, Will. He gets a big hit once every couple of weeks, and honestly, it's his only hit. Right, it's his only hit in the past couple of weeks, and it's like, all right, he just bought himself another month as our starting first baseman. Travis Shaw, honestly, I think gives us better at bats. He had an absolute moonshot. I don't know how it was foul. The Trop is just a location that you don't want to play baseball at. I hate Tropicana Field. I hate the Tampa Bay Rays. I literally hate everything about Tampa Bay at this point in my life, just because of the fact that Tropicana Field isn't even located. It's not even in Tampa Bay. So
it's
you know what?
Stupid.
I can't even give hate to that city. It is a great city. I've been there before. But Tropicana Field, it's so stupid. First off, there are catwalks. You hit the ceiling at all times. And then how can you not tell if a ball is fair or foul? It's only because of that bubble. Travis Shaw hit maybe a 700-foot home run. They called it foul. Travis Shaw is a guy that I could see being our first baseman. If not Franchi Cordero, I'm praying to God that Tristan Casas is our next David Ortiz. But we're screwed at first base right now. First base is a guy that's supposed to give you a lot of production. Bobby Dalbec, I mean, that was the first triple I've ever saw from him. I didn't actually know that was possible for him to do. I'm nervous. I'm a guy that gets nervous very quickly. I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm a Celtics fan, and I'm a Red Sox fan. Those are three teams that once they're done, and they don't come back, right? So I am nervous for the Red Sox to fall in a hole. The Red Sox are the only team that can really dig themselves a hole a little bit and then hop out of it when it comes to my favorite teams. I'm nervous, right? And I love our new lineup. I love Story leading off. I think he's been doing a lot better since we've given him that role.
Very,
and you've been saying that every episode. Have we not, Stopped?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is he's not even in the lineup today. So
Of course he isn't.
Of
I
course.
actually haven't
Oh
seen
my
his
God.
Don't we play in we play in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyways, this Toronto series is something that we should really be looking at, right? As a preseason test, because we already played Toronto in a 3-game slate, but now we have to go on the road to Toronto. Something I was actually kind of losing sleep over was the fact that we knew Houck wasn't going to pitch, right? But
Yeah,
we didn't know who else was going to be out.
Cutter
They just
Crawford.
said there's other unnamed
Better
people.
off.
I am
Better
very
off.
happy. I'm
Better
very happy that
off.
it's. I mean, first off, Cutter Crawford is terrible. He sucks. Second, I'm just happy that nobody else on this list. I thought we were gonna have a list of 10 to 15 people, and we were gonna be playing the Portland Sea Dogs against the Toronto Blue Jays.
I like this lineup that they put out, minus the fact that Trevor Story isn't in it. This might be a hot take. I love JBJ batting 6 right now. If we don't have Story in the lineup, JBJ has been giving them quality at bats. I mean, he doesn't have a great average. It's just he's been okay this year. I don't mind him in right. He's playing well
His
defensively.
average went up.
Yeah, so obviously we have Kike. This is the order: Kike, Verdugo, Bogarts, Devers, JD, JBJ, Bobby, Arroyo, Plawecki. This lineup's pretty good. I like Plawecki behind the dish. You got Evaldi going. So you got to win. You got to win a series. We've lost 4 out of the 5 series that we've played. It's not a good look. I mean, please just win. It'd be great to beat Toronto, and Toronto's really good. It'd be nice to win a series.
I agree. I mean, I like you said, Stav, I'm loving JBJ so far this year. He's kind of surprising me. I don't know why we don't, getting back to the whole Bobby Dahlbeck situation before I give my output on the series, I don't know why we don't just put him at DH sometimes and play someone else at first base, or take him out and put someone else at first base. I give him the benefit of the doubt because he gets hit every now and then and he plays very well defensively, but we just can't have everyone play well defensively and can't hit the ball. We're never going to win a game. That's just not going to happen. But I am going to say we were 5-4 last year at the Rogers Center. I'm going to take us 3-1. This is the series where the bats get rolling. We were showing some progress this weekend until we were getting no hit.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the series that we get it going. We've seen them. We would have seen them 7 times in the last 2 weeks combined.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
I feel like that's a good amount of times. We're seeing Berrios and Gausman the next 2 days, which we've already seen. I believe we beat Berrios the first day we played the Blue Jays last week. No, we played Kikuchi. We beat Kikuchi.
Yeah,
Kikuchi.
Wait, did we beat him? I thought
we lost.
Yeah, no.
We lost to Gausman.
Yeah, Gausman pitched 8 innings.
Yeah, he torched us.
Yep. Yeah. You're right, Will, and it's the fact that I would like to see Bobby DH on some nights where we try out other guys at first base, and a name that has fit, and a name that we've seen play multiple positions, and we saw him play first base a little bit last year, is Christian Arroyo. Now, if we put Story in the lineup, right, then somebody has to come out. Usually that's Arroyo. Some nights he plays right field instead of JBJ, but why not put Arroyo at first base and not focus on first base being such a power position, but just someone that can get on base and have somebody else bring them in. I think that Arroyo at first could help us out a lot. At this point, we have guys with power, right? We just don't get on base. We really don't get on base. We need to make a change or two on this lineup. I think just simply putting Arroyo at first, allowing him to really get on base, get a couple of singles, a couple of doubles, home run here and there, commit to him. I love the way that Christian Arroyo plays.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think it's a perfect bridge first baseman until Cassis is ready to be called up. I think he is ready to be called up, to be honest. I mean, I don't blame them for not rushing him because I feel like as baseball fans, you expect the guy to get called up and then hit 345 home runs when in reality, that's not the case. There's a learning period. And I think if the Red Sox don't start to succeed, why not give a guy like Jaron Duran and Tristan Cassis, give them the call up? Like, let them actually play. Why not? Like, we have JBJ and Wright, who's we said he's been playing okay. Like,
Yep.
but Durant has a higher ceiling. Cassis is one of the best prospects in baseball. Like, if we start to lose, I would be excited if we started to rebuild with some of these guys in AAA. I mean, the Woo Sox are the best AAA team right now. So it's like there's a reason most of these guys are ready. Like Tristan Cassis, he's not only hitting for power in AAA, he's getting on base too.
Yeah.
He's hitting singles like what's he batting like 400 almost like.
So I hear his name every single time. I like
Yeah.
see it all the time when I'm
I'm
at
an
work.
avid worker at
Like,
Polar Park.
yeah, so he's like I said, All-Star break was when we should see him, but we should see him earlier. I don't know why we shouldn't. Bobby Delbeck, I love the guy. You know, I feel bad saying this, but he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
He does.
He sucks.
He actually does.
Even though I still have a smile on my face every time he goes up to bat, but like half the time I end up laughing because he has the most beautiful swing, but the ball
3 pitch
ends up
strikeouts.
yeah, and then like honestly, I felt so bad because like he was really trying to have a good at bat, and they called the ball so far inside on him to strike, and it was low below the knees, and they just said strikeout. He looked at him like, "What are you supposed to do? Like
Yeah.
he can't hit the ball and then doesn't get the call. Like he can't do anything. Like
Right. And Bobby Dalbec is a guy that like he's struggling. Like and you can see it in his facial expressions, his body expressions. He needs a hit, right? He needs something. That triple was really big for him because he was so frustrated, and it wasn't even after a bad strike three call. It's been for a couple of weeks now, starting off this season. He really hasn't got off to the right step that he wanted to take to begin this year, and he knows it, right? And he's very upset with himself, and it shows. I see him every single time he strikes out. I see him strike out a lot. I see him strike out around 3 to 4 times a ball game, to be specific. The look on his face is like, what am I doing, right? Like I suck. Like he looks like he's about to give up. He needs something, right? So he can't have these underlying factors play a part, like an ump missing a call, right? And when that happens, that throws him off even more. I think this might throw him into a mental loop. And the worst thing in baseball is being thrown in a mental loop. When you have to start thinking in baseball, it all goes downhill from there. Like your mindset has to be hit the ball and run, right? Like you can't be like, I need a hit bad. Because if you think in your head you need a hit, and years of experience of playing baseball, every single time I thought that, I didn't get a hit. Honestly, every single time I didn't think that, I probably didn't get a hit either. I was not that good at baseball. I was all right, but I'm nowhere near what Bobby Dalbec is. But like, he's a guy that like he can't have things go wrong from this point on, or else he's going to be screwed for the rest of the season. And it's not really something that the Red Sox can afford because we're looking to compete for pennants this year.
Yeah, especially after an ALCS run last year with, I mean, it's just like frustrating because every time Bobby Dahlbeck does something good, he follows it up with something that's like, God damn it, Bobby. Like, it's like we all want to root for him, but sometimes he makes it like impossible to root for him. Like the combination of the Story bad throw and the Bobby just playing the wrong side of the bag at first base, like it's just like, come on, man, just like figure it out. But it's hopefully he figures it out. Hopefully we don't have to call up Cassis right away, but I can see that in the near future, especially with how well Cassis is playing at AAA.
For sure.
We need something like now.
Yeah.
I know it's so early to say this, and I know like last year we started off right off the bat, like we were like Red Sox suck, but we weren't saying that. We never say that, but like But like everyone was saying that we were bad, and we started off hot. We're like, oh, Red Sox are good. Like we had the underdog narrative all year long, and it was fun. Now that we're good, we expect to be good. Then this happens. Like I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because every time Bobby does something good, like you said, something follows up and it's not good. But even when he does something good, it's so good. Like it's actually incredibly
Yes.
great most of the time. Like he hit a damn triple. like that's crazy.
That's very true.
And I think this is kind of a good point to segment into the rest of the MLB because we're talking about Bobby Dahlbeck and the bad strike calls. What about Kyle Schwarber last night and Angel Hernandez? I mean, that was awesome. I mean, the ninth inning, for those who don't know, the Phillies and the Brewers are playing on Sunday Night Baseball, national TV on ESPN.
ESPN.
Phillies were down 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth. Schwarber's up to bat, 2-2 count. A pitch that was low and away, basically 3 inches out of the zone. Angel Hernandez calls a strike 3 on Schwarber. Schwarber turns around, throws his bat and helmet on the ground away from Angel Hernandez. And before Schwarber could even turn around, Angel Hernandez already ejected him.
He was already gone after he threw the bat.
Like Angel Hernandez, and my little conspiracy theory, the MLB has Angel Hernandez ump these games because they know ratings will be in because he will make such bad calls. That was an awful call. Schwarber had every right to be angry. And Angel Hernandez, man, what do you I don't know. I just think it's a rating. Like at this point, he's so bad and he gets so many big games that for a MLB player to be like, you suck for both sides, maybe Angel Hernandez really needs to take a look in the mirror and be like, huh, maybe it is me. Maybe I shouldn't be ejecting all these players. Maybe I should shrink my strike zone or make it normal. So what do you guys think about that whole situation and the developments that have come around that?
I'm very glad to talk about this subject because I mean usually I talk about it during the NFL season. I am a man of the officials, right? I am one of the bigger supporters of officials when it comes to professional sports. I think they get a lot of flack for a lot of things that they don't do wrong. But when they do something wrong, they should be held accountable for it. And I think that Angel Hernandez, who's a veteran umpire, and um the fact that he has been on record of really just blowing calls for years, right, is awful. I've heard I ref basketball, I've ref football before. And the number one thing that everybody has ever told me is the best officials are the ones that the players and the fans don't know their names, right? And I think that speaks miles. It's something I think about all the time. And it's a reason why I look at officials in all sports. And I'm very glad that we're talking about this as well, because as you said, this game was on ESPN last night. And I was doing homework. I had this game on in the background because there was nothing else on. I was already on ESPN on my laptop, so I just threw it on. And I watched this, and Kyle Schwarber was the perfect guy to do this. He said, you missed one down low on that strike 3 call, but honestly, I don't think any of those pitches, I think one of those pitches in that at bat were actually in the strike zone. The other one was out. He called the strike up high. He called one down low. So it's not even like he's favoring low or high. He's just expanding the strike zone totally. On national television, this is a perfect example of him making this game about himself, right? Which is the number one thing you don't do if you're an official. I think it's a disgrace to officials, not only in baseball, not only in the MLB, but all around. Because when you think of an official doing bad, you automatically think about every sport, right? You think about the NFL, you think about the NBA, you think about blown calls in general, which happen, right? But when it is a consistent basis of you screwing up strikes and balls, why are you still here? It's the fact that his name is known and people talk about him, right? And honestly, that's not the way. That's not the way that officials should be seen. In professional sports, they should be guys that do their job and do a good job of it, right? Because you are just like being a professional athlete, you work your way up. You start at the bottom, you work your way up. Angel Hernandez, I can tell you, there is hundreds maybe thousands of umpires that aren't going to miss those calls that are at a lower level and probably deserve that spotlight of calling strikes and balls in the show. And it actually kind of upsets me because the whole official thing gets thrown under the mat when it comes to professional sports, because a lot of those guys put in a lot of hard work, and the people that get recognition are the ones that screw up. So I really think that it's a disgrace that if you think of an umpire, Angel Hernandez is the first one that comes to mind. I don't think it should be.
I totally agree. I mean, like from that perspective, honestly, he shouldn't be officiating. Like if he's notorious for doing this every single year, year in, year out, every single game he umps, it's always some kind of a mess. Something no game that he umps ends cleanly. I don't think I've ever seen one. Like it's very rare that a game that he umps ends cleanly. I don't know why he hasn't received anything from the MLB to begin with. That's a big problem too. Why he hasn't been on notice or anything like that about what he has done, because it's obvious. It's not even like when we were watching the Rays series this weekend and the inside outside balls were being called very, very strangely. I'm not even going to say that they were bad because some of them were close, and I'm not going to sit here and argue every single ball because there's no point. You could argue everything in baseball, like for the most part. Like it's really just depends on how you're looking at it. But like if it's that blatant, Schwarber out there reacting the way he did, I'm glad that he did, because like if no one else is going to do it, he will. Like it
was the perfect time to do
it.
it too. In the ninth, he's not going in the rest of the game.
Oh
That
yeah,
was the perfect time to
it
do
didn't
it.
matter. There was no reason for him not to. And you even saw, I forgot who was pitching. I was watching the game and I forgot who was pitching. But if you saw his face after it, he was almost laughing. He like couldn't believe that he couldn't even believe that he got the call. Like I mean, I didn't even freaking believe that he made that call either. I was like, that's ridiculous.
It was a disgrace.
And speaking of ridiculousness, how about what happened in the Bronx this weekend with the Yankees and the Guardians outfielders? That's just disgusting. Like I'm off. I might sound like a boomer here when I say this, but like it's just like what are you doing? Like I feel like if one fan messes up, it puts a negative image on the entire fan base. However, yeah, it's not every Yankee fan, but it's like 80 people threw shit onto the field. Like
It's a good portion of them, if I'm going to be honest. It's a
like,
good portion of them.
And you see all the Yankees fans on Twitter defending it because Miles Straw jumped not even into the stands. He just jumped on the wall and said something back. Like the Yankees fans in the outfield, they're known for heckling or whatever, but this isn't the first time. I mean, remember last year Alex Verdugo got a baseball thrown at his head and like no one makes a big deal out of it. And like Kyrie Irving gets hit with an empty water bottle and Boston's racist. But then Stephen
Kwan, that guy got 5 years.
Yeah. And Stephen Kwan gets there were rumblings that he was getting like made fun of. It's like
one of the best batters in baseball now.
Like the Yankees fans need to be put more in negative spotlight. You know, it's because it's terrible. You can't do that. It's an entire fan base that just literally trashed the field. And it came to the point where Aaron Judge and Stanton had to run out into the outfield and tell him to stop. And yet they kept going while their own players were there. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Give me your initial reactions.
Super disrespectful franchise, super disrespectful fan base, about over 50% of them, honestly. As a Boston Red Sox fan, that's just intolerable. I don't know. I mean, I know you can ask the question if that happened here, and it has happened. Like not even here in New York. That's even worse. Like I don't know. Like they get too much benefit of the doubt for everything that they do. Everything over there gets way overlooked because they just buy players. They do whatever they want. They get no flack for anything that they do. It doesn't make sense. They need to have a serious figuring out period of their fans and how their players react to certain things, because I don't think I've seen anything good happen at a Yankees game like that. Like something like that turns out that way. Nothing good ever happens. You never see anyone like I don't know. It could just be me, but like I've never seen anything good happen in situations like that with Yankees games, especially on the road. Like, I mean, I feel bad for the Guardians. Like they're getting completely disrespected out there, and the Yankees win the game. What is the point? You guys are winning.
Right. It's stupid. I I have a lot to say about the franchise of the New York Yankees and the fans of the New York Yankees, but I'll hold in a lot of it. A lot of it probably can't be said as well. I just think it's a stupid move. Like as a person that fully invest themselves in their teams, right? Like we all are. I understand how much Yankees fans love the Yankees, right? I don't agree with them, but I understand how much they love the Yankees because I love the Red Sox more than that, right? And it comes to a point where when you're doing those actions, you're not disrespecting the Cleveland Guardians outfield or their team. You're throwing trash onto your own field, right? Like Fenway Park to me is a forbidden space. I don't do anything disrespectful at Fenway Park. I cheer for my fans, or I cheer for my players, right? I boo people that used to be on the Astros, and I boo people that used to be and are on the Yankees, right? That's all I do. I don't actually do anything disrespectful. Yankees fans, on the other hand, because I'm comparing us, right? We are outfield watchers, right? We are outfield guys. When it comes to Red Sox fans, we're college students, very comparable to the people that were throwing things onto the field at the Yankees game. It's a trashy fan base, it's a trashy team, and it's a trashy city. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. They smell bad, they look bad, and the pinstripes are maybe the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a perfect example of New York. It's a smelly place. The air quality is terrible, and it's because of the pollution. You can get all environmental if you have to. There's nothing good that came out of this from Yankees fans. It's a stupid move. The only two things that I can remember from Fenway Park of objects being thrown in general is one, the pizza, which is an iconic moment. It wasn't even thrown at a player. It may have been intended for a player right after the catch, first off. Second off, it hit a fan in the face and he dropped it. It was perfect. It was an iconic moment. The second one I remember, I forget, we were playing the Yankees. Someone hit a home run. It might have been Judge. Um, Onto the Green
Stanton.
Monster. It was Stanton. A fan threw it back. It hit Stanton barely. I mean, the fan threw it from the Green Monster to second base. You can't actually be mad at that. Now, if I'm wrong, those are the only things that have
Should be our
involved
right fielder.
throwing in our lifetime. I so when it comes to the Yankees fans throwing stuff, I think they should all get 5 years in prison. Now, one of the Celtics fans threw an empty water bottle at Kyrie Irving, and he got 5 years. 5 years in jail, in prison. So obviously I'm joking, saying that they should also get 5 years, but I think that they should be held accountable of some sort. Maybe get a ban for a year from Yankee Stadium, but like it's not like you can ban all of those people because there's a lot of people and you can't actually tell all of them that they can't come. But it's just a trashy move, and not only that, you're playing the Cleveland Guardians, who have like maybe the best third baseman in the league behind Rafael Devers. But other than that, it's the Cleveland Guardians. Like first off, they didn't even have that name last year. When a team resets their name, this is pretty much a brand new team. So when you're disrespecting a team that honestly isn't at the same level that you're at, right? It's kind of you look like an idiot. They made themselves look like idiots because they are idiots. And I hope there's a lot of Yankees fans listening to this because I want to hear it. I want to hear your 27 World Series championships, and you've only won what? One since you've been born. I want to hear all of it. I just extremely dislike Yankees fans. My roommate, who's not currently here, also a Yankees fan. I hate him. I honestly no, I'm kidding. I love Calvin. Calvin, if you're listening, I love you. But no, like it's just they're idiots.
The dumbest
And
comeback
they
in
just prove
sports
us
history.
time and time again that they're stupid. That's basically what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should try and end this pod on a positive note. Speaking about
Yes.
Byron Buxton, Like, this guy is unbelievable, and I think he's one of the more underrated players in the MLB. He had an insane walk-off. I believe it was Sunday. The furthest walk-off in MLB history ever since they started recording that kind of stuff. 470 feet. But here's an interesting stat that I saw on Twitter today.
Too.
Yeah. Like, an interesting stat I saw on Twitter today. Since 2019, the Twins are 124 and 73. Like, that's 101 win pace. Plus 233 run differential when Buxton plays. And then he's 94, or the Twins are 94 and 109 without him. And in his last full season of games that he's played, he's had an 8.4 wins above replacement, which is unbelievable. I want more attention on Byron Buxton because of how good this guy is. Like, we need to appreciate how good he is, and the Twins are going to be an absolute wagon if he can stay healthy and Correa picks it up.
I'm going to say, when healthy, he's, if not one of the best center fielders. Like, obviously, there's Trout. We can't say that, but when healthy, he's top 5 center fielders in the league. Like, he's out there doing everything for this team every single day. Obviously, when, like I said, if he's hurt, he's not out there every single day, but he's pretty much there every single day guy. Obviously you expect a lot from your every single day guys. They all can't be perfect, but he is damn near their whole franchise.
Right. And I wanted to say that the Minnesota Twins made a few moves. They have good pitching, right? They have a decent rotation, some decent guys out of the bullpen as well, and they made a lot of moves. They got Carlos Correa. They picked up a few guys from the Yankees, in that trade as well. And they're honestly a team that can play in the playoffs this year. And I think a big part of their success, actually a huge part of their success, and Stav, you brought it up with the stats, is Byron Buxton. I think Byron Buxton has the potential when Mike Trout slows down, which, I mean, he's been dealing with injuries the past couple of years. Byron Buxton is the next man up. I think he's one of those guys that just literally does everything, right? He's awesome in the field. He has the speed to literally make a play at any part of the outfield. He covers so much ground. He's one of the fastest players in the MLB. He steals bases. He hits bombs. He hits singles, doubles, triples, home runs. He literally does everything, right? And he's so exciting. He does it with a certain swag that he has that could really make him one of those top guys in the MLB that people look up to. Now, a big part of that is him staying healthy, which he hasn't been doing. I think if Buxton is healthy, this is a very dangerous team. And I think Buxton is one of those guys that we're going to look at year in and year out and be like, this can be the AL MVP. Just if he stays healthy, right? And I think that he really has the potential to be a guy that year in, year out, he's going to be the starting center fielder for the AL in the All-Star game every year. I really think he has the potential to do that.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and I really just hope he gets the attention that he deserves. But I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Yep. Griff, you want to get us closed off?
Yep, you know the vibes. We hope you guys enjoyed. We will catch you guys at the end of the week this week when the Celtics are in round 2 and when Byron Buxton gets hurt again. We'll catch you guys on Friday. We hope you guys enjoyed, all jokes aside, and peace.
Peace.
Peace.